Hi everyone, it's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts, and today what I would like to show you how to do is to do an open, I'm going to call it an open centre box. Now the design actually came from a lady by the name of May from Made It Crafts. I will link that in the description below, but the card she made I was actually really quite impressed with. She used it as a design from somebody else within her group had sent her. So I'll definitely link it, because the other one that was sent was done as like a silhouette card, and that also is one that I want to try as well. But what I wanted to do today is I want to do a Christmas card, and I'm going to use the Christmas critters, or the winter critters. I call them Christmas critters because they're all throwing snowballs. And I wanted to use those. So let me give you, I've done a little bit. I did a couple because I hadn't made this card before and I haven't finished a card like this. So this is basically how it will go. So there's a fold down there, and as you open it up, you'll see you've got two holes in there, and in here you've got some struts that you can actually attach your things to. Now, I've done some of mine already. I've coloured them all in so that you didn't have to watch me doing that. And these will be attached to these struts in there. Okay, so there's all kinds of things on this this pad, and of course it is a no, it's not actually. The dies that came with this, unfortunately, are the incorrect ones, so I can't sell it as a stamp and die set. It is only a stamp set. So I've used them and I've cut them out. I've fussy cutted them myself. But you'll see you've got the piles of snowballs there. You've got your bricks here, and that's how I just put them together to make a little brick wall. You've got a single brick there. You've got little paws as they're reaching over the fence that you build. You've got trees, you've got all kinds of things in there. It's a really cute little stamp set. So you can get that on my website at www.aussiecardsandcrafts.com.au. okay, the other things that you'll need is you need I'm saying oval dies because that's what I'm using, but you could use whatever dies you wanted. But you need a set of nested dies to do this. The other thing that I'm going to do is around these, I'm actually, as you can see, I've got a little bit of scrap paper there. Well, it's not paper, it's, it's a bit of a cross between paper and card, but I'd like to put a frame around this, because the paper that I'm using to cover this is a Kaisercraft one called Let It Snow collection. Now, this was last year's one. This particular paper is called Shimmering, and you will need to cover all of these. So I've cut those out, and I'm about to give you the measurements to those. So I'm just going to pop these up here for the time being, and I will go through all the measurements of everything that you need. So firstly, your base piece is going to be a piece of 11-inch card. Now, I've used 250 GSM on this because there is quite a bit of, once it all folds in and you've got all your things in there, there is a little bit of dimension, and the 250 actually does seem to hold it fairly well. So, so this is 11 inches by 8.5 inches, and along the 11-inch side, I'll just turn my, so along the 11-inch side, you need to score at 2 3/4 of an inch. Check on my my cheat sheet here. So 2 3/4 of an inch, 5.5 inches, and 8 1/4 inches. And then along the 8.5, you need to score at 4 1/4 inches. Okay, so effectively that will give you 8 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that are all the same size. Okay, you will also need 10 pieces of pattern paper. Now, what I have done is this one here is the bottom part of this piece of patterned paper, and I'm going to pop one there. I'm going to put the other one in there before I put all of these in, the other one there, and the other one there, and that will then give my continuity of my picture. Okay, the other two, I've got another two pieces here that are going to go on there before I cut it out. So that's those two. And then on the back, I have another 4 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are going to go on there. Now on one of these pieces, either that one or that one, I'm also going to put another white piece that I can stamp a sentiment on and write my greeting on it. So you need 10 of those, and the size that you need there is 4 inches by 2.5 inches, so 10 of those. You also need, oops, it's upside down. You also need some little pieces to make your struts inside to hold your decorations, and these pieces are 3.5 inches by 1/2 inch, and at each end you need to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, so you score at 1/2 inch there, turn it around, and then score at 1/2 inch there, and that will give you the tabs that you need, and you fold those both in, and you do that on all of your pieces, so you've got 4 little tabs. Okay, so getting started, let me bring in my base piece. I'll get rid of this for the time being. Now, what I tend to do, what you've got to do is, you can see you've got 8 pieces here that are all equal sizes. What we need to do is, and I'm going to just make a little mark here so you can see it, just there, down to just there. So that is the cross where the center score line is and the first score line, and this one is the third score line and the center line. And what you need to do is you need to make a cut along that score line from that point to that point. Now you can do it on your scoreboard, it depends on what kind of a scoreboard you've got. I can do it on mine, but if I do it on mine, I've got to be right over it to make sure it's lined up. So I'm going to do it this time with a blade. If I can find one. There we go, there's one. And so it's really important when you're cutting anything, you have a board underneath, and also you use a metal ruler. So line up your score line. You want to go right along the center of that score line, not to one side, but try and keep it as central as possible. And you just pressing in against that ruler to that spot there. So that will then give you a hole in the middle of your piece of card. So we'll pop that away. What we now need to do is we now need to fold and burnish. Okay, so that's all folded and burnished there now. So what we now can do is, as you can see, that is how your card is, and eventually we're going to stick these two down. So what we now need to do is we now need to make sure that we cover, and if you've got it folded this way, we need to cover these pieces here. Okay, and then we also need to cover those pieces as well as a couple on the back. So let's get started, and let me think. That's going to be folded down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one piece here. Oh goodness me, is that in the center? Yes, it is. So this is where we've got to be a little bit tricky here. So if I bring this one in, I want the continuation of the pattern here. So I want piece number 1 here, piece number 2 here, piece number 3, piece number 4. Okay, and you'll notice on here, because there's a little bit of a pattern on it, I have numbered these pieces. So if I look at my plan, my first piece is going to go just here, like so. My second piece is going to go on the back, and my third piece, and my fourth piece is going to go there. So I'm going to put these two down first. So bear with me while I do that. Okay, so there's those two put down. Now, what I want to do, and basically that's my card. So I've got 1 and 4 down. What I need now is to turn this upside down, and I need to have 2 and 3 there. So if I put it like that, bearing in mind that it's going to, yes, so it needs to go, if you've got directional paper, they both need the bottom of the paper to go here, just like the bottom of the paper is there. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to cut a hole in these two. Oh, no, we don't. Sorry. What we now need to do is we now need to cover these last two pieces here. Okay, so that's going to be these pieces. Okay, so your pattern will go all around through there, and then we've got 2 other pieces on here. So I'm just going to glue these 2 down. Okay, so whilst that is drying, I'll leave that up there. What I also need to do, as I said to you before, is I would like to put some frames around here. So the size that I am going to be using, I'll just put that aside because this is the one that the size of the aperture that I'm going to be using is this one here. So what I'd like to do is get that one and this one. And the way I keep them together and the way I do my frames is probably the same as everybody else. I tape them together. So making sure you've got a nice even amount of distance between your two dies. I just use washi tape, which is generally stuck on my machine here. As you can see, I've used this one quite a few times. I've got other washi tapes there. So I'm just going to tape that down there and grab another piece of washi tape here and pop that there. And what I am going to do is just run this through my machine here. Okay, so there are my 2 frames, and they are going to go around those apertures there. Okay, so what we now need to do, because our paper should now be dry, is we now need, let's get it the right way, so this is our side pieces and there are back pieces. So this is going to fold over, so you're going to see those pieces and that as a continuation. What we now need to do is we now need to cut apertures here. So what you do is you fold it over like this. Now when you're using your smallest of these dies, now this one measures 3 1/4 inches long and is basically just over 2, about 2 1/8 wide. Because you are going to put these down the bottom, you need this to be fairly high up. So I would put it up around about 3/4 inch, and bear in mind that it is going to go through 4 thicknesses. So you might need a couple of passes on your machine to actually get it to go through. If it goes through the first one and then not the second one, that's not an issue. It will indent it, and we can then run it through on just the other second one. So I'm going to put this fairly high, make sure it's even there and there. In fact, I'm going to leave it there, and then that will not show because that will go. Okay, let's see how we went. So, how far did it cut through? Okay, so if you lift this up, you can see it's still taped there, but the first one has cut through perfectly. The second one hasn't. So what we now need to do, and it's quite easy to do it, is to then pop this. Let's take out the piece that has been done. So then you see you've got that indent there, and it's probably cut through one piece already, and you can quite easily fit that in to the right spot and then utilise the tape again. And okay, I think that can go in the bin now. So what you'll see here is when I take that off, and now if we close that up, you can see it's cut those apertures out. It has continued that pattern through for all of those 4 pieces, and on the back you've got a nice clean area because you've used that white paper just to make sure, because mine is, it's not that dirty, I've seen worse, but I did notice that when I put something through it the other day, and you can see there it does pick up some, so it's always good to just have a plain piece of white paper around. But I'm really happy with that so far. Right, so let's get rid of these. Now, what we need to do is we need to actually put these, where are they here? We need to put, there should be 4 of them somewhere. Oops, there it is. So we need to put these down. Now, okay, so silly me, I gave you the wrong sizes for these pieces last time. I gave you a size of 3.5 inch by 1/2 inch, scored at 1/2 inch at each end. It should actually have been 3 3/4 inches. And believe me, that 1/4 inch made a huge difference, because when I went to put it together on the previous video, it just didn't work. So the size is 3 3/4 inches by 1/2 inch. Okay, so what you need to do now is you need to make sure that your all of your struts are like so. I'm using a quick grab glue. So what you do is you put a little bit of glue on that first tab, and this needs to go right along this bottom line here, and it needs to go pretty much up against that fold line, but make sure that that fold line is not being impeded by this piece of card. So as you can hopefully see, I'm popping it right up there and right along that line, the bottom of that card. Okay, now the next piece you do is you pop it right up against that one, right against the bottom of this card. So once again, some more glue. And so on. You go until you've done all 4 of them. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our little soldiers standing up like so, our little struts. What we now need to do is we now need to fold them over and make sure that as they're folding over, you'll see that there's, that one's fine, there's a little bit of gap. This one, yep, that one's fine. This one is getting caught under there. So I'm just going to take just a very small amount off of that one. so that when it lays down, it doesn't touch the other piece. Okay. And then what you do is you put glue on all 4 of those tabs. Okay, so once the glue is on there, bring this over and fold it down and just hold it just while that glue grabs. And then when you open it up, you will see that you now have those struts in place to enable you to put all your decoration on it. Okay, so very simple. I'm going to leave it open for the time being. We will be gluing these down, but I think it's just a little bit easier for when I'm doing the decoration. Now I'm going to leave that to just dry for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I had actually cut these out of this beautiful Christmas Critters stamp set here, and I have made just a few little bits and pieces. I did using that, I did a brick wall, and I'm going to have a couple of these just slouching over the brick wall. I'm going to have, I think I'm going to have this little puppy dog here just sitting in the pile of snowballs, and I'm going to have the other pieces coming out of there. Okay, so that's what my plan is. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate these now, and I won't speed it up too much so you can see what I'm doing. But oh, before I do that, I forgot, I have got my frames. So these frames are going to go around there, and they're just going to, I think, just finish it off. Now, with something like this, it is great to use a glue such as this one here, which is, it's got a very, very, oopsies, it's got a very small opening there. There we go. Okay, so getting ahead with this, I'm going to use my quick grab glue again. And I want him to be kind of slouching over like that. So it's just on this bottom arm that I need. By the way, these were all coloured with my Copics markers. I sat there and coloured them yesterday while I was watching some TV. And they will then, just fussy cut out. And I also, with all the snowballs and just certain areas, I actually put some glitter. So the top of the snowballs there, you might be able to see there's some glitter, just to give it a little bit of height. Now I'm going to pop him on there as if he's landed on the snowballs. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these in here. Okay, now I'd already cut that one down to size. What I'm going to do, I think, is I might glue another piece of card on the back of that. And the reason I'm doing this is just so that it stands up a little bit more and it gives it a little bit more height. So I'm going to cut a piece like that and then cut it down, glue it on right at the bottom. So right along this edge here. pop that there. And then I can glue that piece along my strut here so that I can get the top of my bricks there. So you can see I've got the top of the bricks there. Okay. However, I might actually put this one at the back, and I might do the same as well with this, just to lift it up that little bit more. So I'm going to use some of my quick grab glue again. And you're not going to see any of this white, but it will just give it just a little bit more height, which is what I'm actually after. So I'll pop him along, oopsies, I'll pop him along there. Trim him off. And then I can glue along there so that you can see all of my puppy dog and you can see all of the snowflakes. So I'll pop it. Okay everyone, so now we're back, and as you can see I've actually completed the card. I've put Merry Christmas on the front, and I've utilised some of this paper here. I've put Merry Christmas inside, and I put that up on foam tape, and I utilised some of the scraps from the back. I also have cut out, as you can see, and coloured in some more little critters. I've done the little birds there that are inside. And I have also put some more little critters just here. And I just think that sets it off beautifully. If I was going to do it again, I probably would stagger the height of my structure in there. And I just think it would give us a little bit more height to be able to build it up. And I'll probably try one of those when I get back from holiday. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It is from the Christmas Critters stamp set. It is on my website at www.aussiecardsandcrafts.com.au. I think there's about 5 there. So get in early if you want them. Thank you for watching me today. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and maybe subscribe to my channel, because that is very, very helpful. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, please head on over to Aussie Cards and Crafts and put a membership request in. We'd love to have you there. A lot of the cards that I do on these tutorials, I get some of my inspiration from the members that are on that site. So, and they're not all ladies, some of them are men. So thanks for joining me today, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye.